Alright, and then I'm going to use brand new nuts because these are nylock nuts, and you're really not supposed to use them more than once, and the ones that are on there I used a couple of times already, so I bought some new ones. Okay, with the washers and the nuts on, I'm going to tighten up all these bolts until they just stop. Don't want to really torque anything yet. So this way the sprocket is sure to be centered on the carrier instead of being slightly off center. Okay, so with all the bolts in snug, I'm going to torque them. You could look at the torque spec, or if you think you know what you're doing, you can just rely on your hands. So I did opposite ones, kind of like torquing lug nuts. I want to do them opposite. Now we're going to do the top chain roller. This is a 10mm bolt here. This one's the easier of the two. So you just take the bolt out. And the BMW rollers need to be lubed, except the thing is they're really cheap. So I bought an aftermarket roller that I'm going to install, I hope. So this is a BMW roller. It's a couple of pieces of rubber, and I normally stuff grease in there, and this thing just kind of wallows around with a bunch of grease in it, and it doesn't seem to me to be a very efficient rolling mechanism. So I bought this MSR. There's another one that's available. This particular one is part number 239915 is black. They come in colors. I tried to get a blue one and a red one, but the place I wanted to buy them couldn't order them, so I went with this one. So you can see it's about the same thickness, and it uses the same bolt, even though it comes with a bolt, and you can see that it's got bearings in it. So this is going to roll a lot better. I'm going to have to get some washers to make up the difference in the thickness. Okay. Alright, so I used two washers on the side with the head of the bolt, and one additional washer, and that's the original washer that was on the other side of the bolt when I removed the old roller. And now I'm just going to screw this original bolt right back in there. Okay, let's turn on. This is the bottom roller. So what I'm going to do is get a 13mm wrench on the nut and remove the bolt. And this is also the brake pivot bolt. So this gets kind of interesting because there's some washers and stuff in here. You got to make sure you don't lose anything. Okay, got the nut out, and there's the bolt. Washer, bolt all the way out, and now here's the roller. A lot of parts here. Okay, so for this roller, I'm just going to lube it. You can see that this one doesn't get hit by the chain much because this is the lower roller. So I'm just going to clean it and re-lubricate it. Okay. Alright, so I need to get some grease on this thing. Just going to use some chassis grease. Nothing special. And having sort of cleaned it out, gotten the grit out of it, hopefully I can get a bunch more miles off it before I have to change it with one of those nice rollers like I put on the top. So I'll grease it up. Right, and this goes back on the brake pedal like that, which I have to wiggle in. This is all lubricated. I'm going to slip this in here. I'm going to hook the spring back up to the loop on the frame and get the actuator rod, which I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the tip of the brake cylinder actuator rod and shove this little guy up in here. Okay, now I'm going to get this bolt in from the outside. Alright, I got the bolt in. going to put the washer and the nut back on and tighten it up, and that's good to go. Like the center stand has 2 grease fittings, one on each side. So I'm going to take my grease gun and put it on the grease fittings. You can see how the grease pops out. You got to make sure that the grease does indeed pop out. And then you pop another one. And then you take the extra grease and you wipe it off because it's just nasty and it's going to get on stuff. And that's all there is to greasing the center stand. Alright, now we're going to remove the front sprocket. We took the nut off earlier and the washer, the little wave washer, the lock washer. So I got a new lock washer. But one of the things I like to do is leave the chain in place and just kind of pull it out of the way and pull the sprocket off with the chain there, because it makes it easier to get the new chain back on. You don't have to fish it through. You can pull it through with the old one. Now, this sprocket is not a BMW sprocket. This is a BMW sprocket, and I found actually the BMW sprocket, if you're going with the stock 16 teeth, I think it is. Is it 16? 17?
15? I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah, 16. It's a 16 tooth sprocket. So if you go with the stock sprocket, BMW's cheaper, and it's got this rubber stuff on it. This is rubber here, which makes it run quieter. Now when you go to put the BMW sprocket on, it says EXT. That goes to the exterior, and the other sprockets, the flat side goes in and the lip goes out. So you can see, well, it's kind of hard to see, but the sprocket is worn. So I'm going to replace this, and it just slips on. It's supposed to just slip on. Let's see what happens. There are some teeth there. There, so it just slips right on. Now I'm going to put the chain back around it and make my life a little easier. We can't really torque it down because the rear wheel's not on, but what we can do is put this on, make sure that it's going to go on there. Yep, that's going to go on so it won't get forgotten. And I'm going to take the nut. Now the nut requires Loctite, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of put this on here a couple of turns with my fingers and call that good until I get the rear of the bike put back together. We're going to put the rear wheel back on. So the first thing is to put the cush drive. So you can see that there's a set of these with a slot between them. So you want to put the slots on the slot in the wheel, and then we're going to put the rear sprocket on there. Okay, and sneak this past the caliper. Split the pads a little bit to get the thing in there. And now comes kind of the tricky part. Gotta get the axle in. So one of the things that you can do is slip a 2x4 under it. Another one is to just put your foot under there. So the first thing is to get the axle in. You might want to move the camera. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is get the axle in from over here so that the adjuster slides up and back. And then we need to get it through the caliper. So the caliper is going to slide up and back, out through the caliper. So now we need to get it up through the wheel. Okay, stop. Alright, so now we need to raise the tire up in order to get the axle to go through it. So one way to do that is to slip a 2x4 under it. Now raise it up some. And you get your foot under there. Alright, so now I've got the axle through the wheel. Got to get through the adjuster on the other side. There we are. Okay, so now I need to put the washer and the nut. I'm going to put the washer on and the nut.
It's a new nut.
I'm replacing the nut just because I got some from McMaster Car, and they cost about $5 for 10 of them, and they're about I don't know, $3 each at the dealer. So I figure with 42,000 miles on the bike, it deserves a new nut. So now what I'm going to do is tighten the axle nut, but I'm not really going to tighten it. So it's just on there kind of snug, so you can see the axle's still slipping around, which is what I'm after, because I still need to change the chain. So I'm going to put the chain on. Now the chain's on the bike. And now I'm going to break the master link and just roll the new chain on. Alright, I realized I'm going to need to cut the chain because the chain I have is too long. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pull the old chain off. I always install silicone sealant on the master clip, on the master link clip, so that the link doesn't come off. And okay. So now we're getting the master link off the clip. There's the clip and side plate. So you got to work the side plate a little bit. And now the side plate's off. And the O-rings. And the master link comes off. Okay, there's a couple O-rings on the other side. Now if we had the right length chain, we could just stick it on here with the master link, pull it on, and we'd be done. But since we don't have the right length chain, I'm just going to pull this guy off. Now I'm going to do the sizing. And I know the one that came off is the right length. So one thing you can do is pull the new one on and fit it, and then cut it the extra right off. But it's just as easy to take the old one, put it alongside the new one. Make sure you get the right place on it. So I've looked and I've lined up the pins all the way up the chain to make sure that it's the right length. Now it should be 10 links too long. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. All right, this is a chain breaker. So the way the chain breaker works, that's about a $20 tool available in most motorcycle shops. This is the link I'm going to break. So what you do, clamp it on the link. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes? Snug that up just a bit so the chain doesn't come loose. And then turn this until the pin comes out. Now the thing is, sometimes there's a pin inside there, and sometimes it becomes cocked. So you want to turn it back every now and then. Okay, stop the camera. All right, so we had to take a little break, and it's kind of hard to get this thing started. But once you get the pin starting to come through, once you get the pin moving, it cranks through pretty easily. You can see the pin coming out the other end here. And the trick is not to break the pin in the tool. Extra pins are available, replacement tool parts. Okay, so then when it gets easy, there's the pin. That's the link pin. And then I'm going to put my tool back in the position I like it to be in, which is with the pusher pin wound up out of the way so it's not going to get damaged. And the clamp bolt run in pretty good. Okay, and this will just pull apart. So there are a couple of extra O-rings here, which we can either leave on or take off, because the master link is going to come with some extra O-rings itself. So we're going to run this over the rear wheel and through here. We're going to make sure that you go under the roller that we just replaced. If you go over the roller, you're going to have trouble. That's the top roller. You go under the top roller and over the bottom roller. Okay, now we're going to roll this around the counter shaft. Up over the bottom roller. Okay, now the thing is, you want to get the ends of the chain lined up on the sprocket so that it makes it easier to put the master link in. Okay. So this DID chain came with a master link, which I found out the hard way that it's important to use the right master link for the chain that you have, because different brands of chain use master links that are not identical. Now this type of master link is a press fit master link, and you need a special tool to go with this master link. I don't have that tool, and I don't like the press fit links anyway, so I'm going to use a clip type. So I've got a clip type master link here, and you can see the clip type master link, there's this little collar here, plus it comes with the clip, and the clip's going to go in the collar when the thing's installed. And the crimp type is like that. When you put this guy on, you need to take a file, a punch or the special tool and swedge that out after you've got the side plate on. I don't like that kind. I like this kind, so that's what I'm going to use. Now both of them come with a little packet of grease. So what you want to do is grease up the pins . And then you want to put it in backwards. And the reason you want to put it in backwards is you get some grease inside the roller of the chain. And then apply a bit more grease and put it in frontwards. And that's gonna run some more grease through. And if you put some more grease on the ends of the pins, then when you pull it back out, it'll get even more grease in there. Okay, now we're going to take our little O-rings, push them on there. Okay, I've already got one on there, so there's that one. Okay, now we've got to get the side plate on. So there's several ways to do this. The way that I've found that I'm happy with is I took an old side plate and I drilled it out with a drill bit so that it's oversized, so that I can use this to squeeze the new side plate on. And you can use vice grips or a C-clamp or whatever. So I'm putting the one end of the vice grips on the pin on the inside, and then this just slips right off, and you can see that the surface here that this thing needs to hook into, the groove is there. Actually, that's not quite on there far enough, so I'm going to go again. Alright, so I put it on there, and now this thing slips right on here. You can see how it's catching in the groove on both grooves. So that link is pressed on there far enough. So having done that, I'm going to take a little bit of spray cleaner and a rag. Stop, I need a rag. little bit of spray cleaner. I got the brake cleaner. Spray some on a rag or a paper towel and clean the side of the link off. You don't want to get a whole lot of stuff in the O-ring. Just want to try to get the side of the roller, the side of the link cleaned off, and the master link clip cleaned off. Clean this again. Now, the thing to put the clip on is you want the closed end in the direction of travel. So we're going to put it on like this. Need to get another screwdriver. So I had trouble with the screwdriver, so I'm going to try pliers. Okay, that's on. So I'm going to wipe it again. So that's good and clean, and it's dry. And the reason that we do that is so that we can put a little bit of silicone seal on here, and it will stick to everything. Alright, doesn't take much. And you stick it to the link, and you stick it on the pins, and you stick it in between the center of the link so it sticks to the side plate. And you want to give that overnight to dry if you can before you ride the bike, so that it has a chance to set up good. Okay, one more thing is maybe take a screwdriver and pry the side plates up a little bit to make sure that they're maintaining some tension on the side of the master link clip. So what that's going to do is give it a little extra incentive not to come off. Okay, so we have the chain on, and so now we need to adjust it. So you can see there's a whole lot of chain slop. So what I'm going to do is tighten it until the washer doesn't slop around anymore. So what I want to do is, I don't want to be able to like slide the axle around, but I do want to be able to move it. So I counted the turns when I took the wheel off, and if I hadn't replaced the chain, I would just count them to go back, and it would probably be maybe a half a turn or a turn more. But in this case, let's just half 2, half 3, half 4, half 5, half 6, half 7. We'll do 7. Half 1, half 2, half 3, half 4, half 5, half 6, half 7. Alright, so let's see where we are. Now, I've got these marks here. So this guy has got the 5 mark. And you can see that chain kind of looks okay. The 5 marks in the window, so I'm going to check it on the other side. No, it's way off center. Okay, so that side was up back a little too far. So maybe we'll give it another half 1. Half 1. Okay. Now with a worn chain, you got to do this in a lot of places, but with a brand new chain, it's the same all over. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now the way to measure your chain, stop. So if you read the tag on the side, it says 20 to 30 millimeters chain tension without load. So 25 millimeters is an inch. So we're looking at about an inch to maybe inch and a quarter of free play. So now if I put this here and push the chain up, I've got this set to about an inch and a quarter. So that looks to be just about right. It might be a little on the loose side, but a little on the loose side is okay. A little on the tight side is going to wear out a chain. A new chain is going to loosen up, so I'll probably have to adjust it again within a week or so. But in any case, I want to check these marks, and I see the 6 mark is just in front of the back of the window. So check the one on the other side, and it is indeed symmetrical. If it's not symmetrical, your wheel's going to be cocked and your tire's going to wear faster. So now, what I want to do is tighten this up. and I figure it's supposed to be about 100 Newton meters. Yeah, that's about it right there. So having gotten that tightened up, I'm going to take my wrench and stick it in here and give it about a quarter of a turn on the adjuster. So, well, this one's getting a little more. What that's going to do is keep the adjuster from falling out. Okay, so now I'm going to take the bike off the center stand and see what the chain adjustment's like. And it still looks plenty good. The next thing that we need to do is tighten up the countershaft sprocket. So I'm going to put it in gear and pump my brakes to get them back, since I pushed the piston out of the back up in the caliper. Okay, I want to clean my my nut a little bit here, get some of the crud out of it. And our friend Loctite Blue 242 or whatever it's supposed to be. Put a little bit of that on the countershaft, because you don't want to lose this nut. And we'll put the nut on. Oh, the nut's relieved. One side's flat, the flat side goes out, the side that's relieved goes in. Okay, 30mm wrench. All right, now we need to step on the brake, put the whammy on it. Okay, that's pretty tight. Now, this is a nut that uses a lock washer with a bendy tab. So there's one of the bendy tabs. We'll get it. Got to get the bendy tab to bend some. And with the tab bent firmly up against the nut and the Loctite, I don't think this is going to come off. Okay, I don't need to do the rear brakes, but since we're here, we're going to take a look at it. Now, this part is the pad, and the metal part is the backing material. So you can see how when the pads get real thin, you can measure this, and the brake material is supposed to be at least, I forget, 2 or 3 millimeters thick. And if it's not that thick, then they need to be replaced. So you can imagine if these are worn, what's going to happen is they're going to get closer and closer together. Well, before you change the pads, what you need to do is take a screwdriver or something and stick it in between them and push the piston back. So the piston's in this side of the caliper, and by pushing the piston back, what you're doing is making it so that you've got room to put the new brakes in, because the old ones are so thin they'll come out real easily, but you can't get the new ones in until you've got the piston pushed back. Now there's one thing you got to look out for: the reservoir, which is under the right side cover near the brake master cylinder. When you're actually doing the brakes, if the reservoir is near full, you're going to need to open the bleed screw when you push these back and squirt some of the brake fluid out on a towel or something, because it won't go back in the reservoir if the reservoir is full. So all you need to do is pull this clip out, Okay, and then this pin comes out. I need to get a tool. I checked in the book and it's 1.5 millimeters is the minimum thickness for the pad. But so here's a punch, and the pin comes out. And you can see the pin has a little collar on it, and it's a good idea to clean this up and maybe put a little lube on it, but you don't want to get any lube on the brake pads. And the pads just pretty much fall right out. So people ask, well, can I do that with the rear wheel on? And as a matter of fact, you can. You can get the rear pads out with the wheel on. The trick is getting the new ones back in, and if you figure out how to do that, I'd be real happy to hear about it. But you can see this is the piston, and it's pushed all the way back in here. So now I'm going to act like we're putting new pads in. So you put the pad in, and the pad has to go in sort of from the outside. Getting that? Okay, and the other pad goes in, has to go in kind of from the middle and then go up. Right? And the pin goes back in. Okay, and the pin is not quite far enough in, so I'm going to have to bang on it with something else. Maybe a nail. Alright, so now the pin is in far enough so that you can see the hole, and with the hole showing, put the pin back in. It holds everything together. Okay, then what you want to do is get the pads separated, and we're going to put the wheel back on. Now the thing is, after you change your brake pads, what you're going to want to do when you get the wheel back on is make sure that you don't need to bleed your brakes. It's probably a good idea to bleed them just in case. Alright, now we're going to do front brakes. These brakes are on a GS, but the method to do them, to change the pads, is the same between the Classic and the GS. Okay.
Stop it?
No, still wrong.
Okay, first.
So the first thing we're going to do is pull the pin out. And it's easiest to knock the pin out with the caliper attached to the bike.
Okay. Almost out.
Okay, so the pin's out now. And now got to loosen the bolts.
8 millimeters.
8 millimeter Allen to loosen the caliper mounting bolts.
Very easy. Oops.
That's okay.
That's the old one.
Old brake. Okay, so now the bolts are out, and we're going to pull the caliper loose and get the other pad out. Oh, both pads are out. Okay, so now we've got to push the pistons back in. The brake pads that Artyom has taken out are actually only about half of their wear limit, but he doesn't like the feel of those pads, so he wants to change them. If you look at the groove in the brake pad, if you cannot see that groove, then your brake pads are definitely need to be replaced. You want to put the pad in that goes against the pistons first, and then put the other pad in.